Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. Awesome guest today. One of my favorite rising stars in the sport. Going to be making his pro debut in May at the New York Pro. Please welcome Carlos Thomas Jr. How are you, Carlos?
Good, good. What's going on, Ryan? How are you, bud?
Oh, doing well, doing well. So, yeah, your pro debut, man. We've been waiting a while. You turned pro in November of 2021, correct? At the NPC Nationals. That was
Hmm.
your third time at the Nationals, third time's a charm. Yeah,
Yes,
and you
sir.
made a real let people know when we're recording this because it's not going to post for a little while. But today on Instagram, you made a very cool post showing your first NPC Nationals, I think it was, where you did not place it in the middleweight division. You said last, but
Mhm.
after 15th, everybody's just 16th.
Everybody's 16, 16 out of 16. I was probably the last 16th.
But yeah, and then next to that is your super heavyweight and overall win 4 years later, almost to the day. What a transformation! What a very inspirational. But I don't think I've ever really asked you about the win because I think we've done interviews, but I don't think I ever asked you what was it like to go from a guy that went to nationals and didn't even get a look, and then top five is great, but it's not winning, to being the overall winner. Because there's a lot of pro cards in nationals, top two in every class, but there's only one overall winner. And we ask who won the nationals, that's who we're asking about, the overall winner, and
Yes,
that
sir.
was you. So what was that like?
That was that was the culmination of everything that I've worked for, over the past 4 years between my last show at that time was 2016, NPC Nationals, and placed top five middleweight. So to come back as a super heavyweight and win the overall, it was just a culmination of all the work we put through and all the effort that everyone had poured into me throughout those years. It meant everything. So I said, and it was awesome to walk in there and they had the wall of past champions
Mm.
on there, and and like you said, it's they mentioned who won the nationals. It's the overall winner, and those are all the past overall winners. So to be on there with the likes of Sergio Oliva Jr., who's a good friend of mine, Hunter LeBron, Lee Haney, you know what I
Henri,
mean,
Kevin
Tony Freeman,
Levrone.
Kevin Pro,
Oof.
yeah, all these guys, right, to
Yeah.
have come before me into this year. My coach was at the Nationals and he took a picture of the wall and it had my name right there, and I was like,
Ah,
that's
nice.
that was it. That was all. That was worth all the years, of hard work.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great.
No, I never asked you. You started off before you did nationals. You did collegiate nationals, and you were runner-up in light heavies. You did Team Universe. You were fourth in light heavies. You actually beat a guy named Kareth Baggio at that show. I don't know if Kareth remembers. Did you remember that you beat him there?
Oh, no, 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 I don't know. It was
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You were
in that.
fourth. You were fourth in light
Oh,
heavies at the 2016 Team U, and Kareth was fifth. So you beat Kareth Baggio already. Yeah, 212 champion Kareth
well, he's a
Baggio.
champion, man.
He's
He's
awesome,
a
Kareth.
champ, and a good dude, and a
He's a,
real
I
solid
love
dude.
I love Kareth. But yeah, what I never asked you was when you were light heavy in those initial shows, should you have been a middleweight? Were you like a not a very conditioned light heavyweight? Because it's odd that you went down a weight class.
So at that at that the collegiate nationals, I was on the cusp of being a middleweight, but didn't make it.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So I think I was like 180, 181 or something like that.
Gotcha.
And then for the second one, that team universe, I was just way. I should have been a middleweight. I should have been a middleweight. Definitely, I was a little bit heavier than I should have been. So that's where we brought it down. That we brought it down 2016 nationals where I was a middleweight, and we got the placing that I deserved. And then the 2017, came back as a middleweight again, but just with more better condition, a little bit more muscle, and I got the top five placing, which was at the time that was a dream. It
Yeah.
was awesome.
You know, some people are really good at spotting long-term potential. I don't think I would have seen this physique that I'm looking at right now in that Carlos from back then. I wouldn't have known that the muscle bellies were so full and round. But you took 4 years to put on the mass that we see now.
Yeah.
Which was it hard to not? I know you were doing graduate school and everything else, but was it hard to go that long without competing? Because you're a competitor, you love to compete.
Well, to touch on that, what you said, I was saying at that 2017 National, I ran into Neil Hill, and like it was in Miami around that little bar area. And he told me, he was like, he said light heavyweight. He said, you fill out your frame around light, heavyweight. And little did he know it would be a super heavyweight. But he had an inkling that, once I filled out my frame, it would I would come into my own. Because I am 5'6", but I have a bit of a wider frame. So um, when we took the 4 years off, it was hard not to compete. I did attempt to compete in 2019, but I died down a bit, and then I got sick right before the show. So it was like, you know what, can't do it. So we pulled out of that. I was going to do North Americans, but yeah, decided to pull out of that just because I got sick and was just too close to the show. And then in 2020, the COVID year, things just didn't work out right. We died it down looking for a show, but the dates just didn't work, for me to qualify. At that time, it was like, should I do nationals, which was in November? And at that time, they moved USAs to December. So it was like, should we do USAs? And it just didn't work out right. So I just decided to go back into an off season, and then lean into 2021. That's what, everything just lined up right correctly, with the, post COVID a little bit. And I think the qualifier was 4 weeks out from nationals. So it lended a little bit more time for me to improve, which we did, just enough to win everything. So
it's funny because I prepped the woman who won the women's physique at that
I
show,
remember.
and she sent me pictures, and she goes, look at this guy. I'm like, that's freaking Carlos Thomas Jr. What the hell's he doing in that show? But you had to qualify. You can't just jump in the nationals whenever you feel like it.
Yeah.
So when you won nationals, did you immediately know you were going to take a full year off to improve, or did it take a while to arrive at that decision?
Yeah, yeah. I knew I was going to take some time off. We were no strangers to taking the time and taking it easy. So I wanted to do the New York Pro, and I didn't want to come in with I knew I could have improved, but I wanted to come in, take that quantum leap forward and show off something new from the nationals. So the timetable, it was just too quick of a turnaround to do that New York Pro in May. So I was like, next year's the year. I'm going to do the New York Pro in 2023. So just took the time off, and here we are. And the year went by like that.
Time flies. The older you get, the more you realize that. You blink and you're like, oh my God, that was 5 years ago. But what improvements did you want to make? What areas of your physique, what qualities did you really want to improve on before you got on that New York Pro stage?
So the back was the main improvement, and I think we've done that. Bring more thickness and a 3D to the back. I think we've accomplished that. The shoulders a little bit more, roundness to the shoulders, just to offset my arms, which are one of the dominant body parts of mine, and just more upper chest, which we focused on. So those are three things that we've focused on a lot, and we've switched the training around. I went from a standard like body part per day to more of a PPL, push pull leg split. So yeah, I first time doing that. I love it. It's great. I've been able to hit more frequency to these body parts: back, chest, shoulders, and then legs. We just leave those for once a week.
They're good. But just put it out there. When you do push pull legs, say for back, so it's hitting it every fourth day, so twice every 8 days. Were you doing or do you do a different type of back workout on each of those? You alternate two different workouts?
Yeah, we do a lot of more compound movements on the first day. And then the other one is a little bit more focused. We do a little bit more cable work, and then a little bit more, I guess, squeezing, stretching, squeezing, focus on that a little bit more. So we hit a wide variety of angles as well. I feel like when we go through the 2 back days, and it allows enough time to recover between them, so that I feel like I'm fresh for the second one.
Your coach, Cash Guidry, Guidry. I hate messing
Mm-hmm.
people's names. How do you say his last name?
Guidry, yeah.
Guidry. So he's your nutritionist. Does he also program your workouts? Because you're obviously across the country from him.
No, he has, he'll look at my workout programs, but he doesn't program them. I leave that. I was on the tutelage of No Switch Fitness, Luke Miller. Working with him for a bit. He got me into the PPL split and showed me different, movements and exercises that, help target areas of my back. And my good friend Kyle Smith, Full Access Fitness is his like business. He does my programming and training in the gym now.
Last push pull legs question, I promise. But do you
Yeah,
could you foresee going back to a traditional bro split, or do you really like this combining push muscles, pulling muscles on those
I love,
days?
I
Yeah.
love it. I've gotten so strong, and I've been able to increase the frequency without feeling run down. I felt with the traditional like kind of like bro split, um, when we increase the volume and frequency for those days, like I would hit a wall quick. With that, like, I would feel it. I'm like, man, like I'm feeling it. I need a deload, figure something out. With this, we've been able to manage without having to take like a deload. Um, so it's been great. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still do get tired by the end of the week. I'm like it's pretty much smashed, but I'm able to recover the next time around, and I'm good to go. Whereas I've trained, you know, I've trained traditional bro split, 5 days on, 6 days on, and stuff like that. It wore me down. So I think I'll stick with this moving forward.
Fair enough.
And I was
Yeah.
totally kind of like one of those guys. I was like, oh no, I don't need to do a PPL. No, I don't need to do that. But to be honest, it's been it's kept my training fresh. It's kept me fresh, and it's just been enjoyable.
Okay. Well, you mentioned arms. I'm just curious. Biggest your arms and legs have measured, because you got some big ass arms and legs, dude.
Dude, when we were at the Arnold, and I was working the booth for Project AD, I probably had maybe like 50 people ask me like, what are your arm measurements? And no one had a tape measure. I didn't have a tape measure. I don't know.
Oh,
I just don't know. I'll have to guess maybe 22,
okay.
23,
They're
somewhere
big.
around there but legs, I can't, I don't know. I'd have to get them taped.
I'm gonna go. I'll say 33, and you get back to me and tell me how close I was.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
We'll do
mean,
that.
I'm
I'll
pretty
run and
good
get
at
the
that.
tape measure.
Pretty good at estimating. Okay, well, this is a question you should know the answer to,
Yes, sir.
because you've definitely put some good size on since nationals. What weight? And you started your prep for New York Pro, correct?
Yep.
So, what did you start your prep for nationals at versus what did you start prep for New York Pro at, body weight wise?
I started prep for nationals around 253, 255. Um, and I started this prep around 268.
It's okay.
Yeah,
So
and
15
it's been
pounds.
good. Yeah, it's been good weight too. Um, I feel like the conditioning was probably a bit better around this time.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt that we maintained a good shape
I
throughout this
mean,
off
I
season.
see you a lot at all the shows. I've never seen you like look sloppy or anything. You don't. You never. I've never seen chipmunk cheeks or anything on you. But that's another thing I want to ask is you've got so much mass on your frame. It's people would think you would have blown your gut out and had a bubble gut by now. What kind of things have you done to make sure your midsection did not expand along with the rest of your body?
I People like may not like do them. Well, it's getting more popular now, like the vacuums, but I do try to implement those throughout the off season, here and there. It's a bit difficult, with so much food in your stomach. But by the time you get around to eating less food, it's a lot easier. So right now, I like to do them after cardio. So that's 5 times a week. I'll do the vacuums after cardio. I'll do them standing up. I'll do them laying down, just different positions. You could just easily YouTube these things, and you'll see like different tips and tricks on how to do vacuums. So I've become a big believer in those. And then people may not like to use waist trainers, but I love using them. Not for the fact that they'll like shrink my waist, but for the fact that they'll control me from breathing, belly breathing, which gets if you're taught it makes you look.
Oh yeah.
So I actually like to use the waist trainer to accentuate my breathing through my diaphragm. So that's why I like to use those. Sometimes when I'm doing cardio, but most of the time when I'm training right now.
You wear them while you train?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's gotta be uncomfortable. Goodness.
You get used to them though, but if you try them, like you'll find yourself breathing more through your diaphragm than you are in your chest, than you are through your belly.
I mean, you make a good point because a lot of times when guys get tired on stage, they start breathing through the belly. And if you're seated off to the side, you see this big gut going in and out. It's like, oh, it's cringy. You don't want to see a
Yeah,
gut
yeah.
ever.
it,
Yeah. So what's it like to be in prep again? You must have missed prep. It's been a while.
it's odd this time around. I feel a bit more relaxed. The clock is ticking, right? When that clock is ticking ahead, the weeks, the days go
Yeah.
by. But I feel more confident in what we're bringing this time around. I was confident last time, but like I've had a great um, a great off season. I feel like it's had its ups and downs, but I feel like we've had like a solid 8 weeks leading into the prep where things were just clicking and firing. So that has lended to just being more confident in the trajectory that we're moving towards. And yeah, I feel great. Like my body's good. I've had a few bumps and bruises here and there over the off season, but nothing that's kept me from training at like a full capacity.
What areas did you have issues with? Usually it's shoulders, knees, back.
Yeah, like a little shoulder stuff here and there, little low back issues here and there, but nothing that has kind of like kept me away. I did have a flare up of ulcer colitis, and like if anyone's out here who
Oh
has it,
gosh.
yeah, it's brutal. It was probably a week where I could barely eat anything. I probably eat like one meal a day
Mhm.
back in like October, November.
Yeah.
But we sorted that out and got that fixed. And now we push the food back up, and we're good to go. I haven't had any issues.
Do
So if you
you
guys are listening,
were you actually diagnosed with UC?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yeah, because
yeah,
my son was diagnosed like 3 years ago. He's on mesalamine every day for it.
yep,
It's
yep,
rough. I mean, but I'll have to show him a picture of you now or this video so he can be because it's tough to get. It's you. Luckily, you already got all the size, but it's tough for people with UC to get the food down and keep it
oh
down,
yeah,
especially during
mm-hmm,
flare ups. So
mm-hmm,
I know
yeah,
exactly what you're going through. I've seen not firsthand, but
yeah.
I've seen my son
Yeah, you've
close
seen
enough.
the effects of it, and it's brutal.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the worst flares I've ever had. But we got through that, got on the other side of that, started pushing the food back up. Had a great back half of the off season, so I feel awesome leading into this prep.
A lot of guys, they especially if they've had a long off season like you have, they enjoy prep because finally they don't have to put as much food down. Like it becomes a grind for anybody that's done it for
Yeah,
months and months and months. Are you able to? Are the portion sizes starting to come down a little bit? Where now you're not like
yeah,
gonna finish that whole
yeah,
bowl of rice
yeah.
and chicken.
They're coming out to the point where it's I eat and I feel comfortable. I'm like, oh wow, I don't feel like, man, that was a lot of food. Like, or it takes 30 minutes to just properly chew your food and get it down. Now it's taking maybe like 15 minutes. So it's a lot better than it was before. But it's necessary. It's necessary to kind of go through those phases, and where you kind of hit the peak of pushing the food, and then you're able to bring it back down and start from a better place. So I think that's the one thing that's been different about this off season is we pushed the food up to a point where it's never been before for me. And we've been able to, for the most part, manage, my colitis issues, which has been a blessing. Besides the one time I had a little flare up, which I think was just triggered by food poisoning. And kind of that's what caused the flare up. But besides that, we've managed all the symptoms I've usually been having with my UC. And we've been able to push food up to the most it's ever been. And I think the results have shown. I feel all, like that we made the progress on the back, shoulders, chest, and leading into this prep. I'm very confident that we'll bring something different to the New York Pro, and we're going to be making a statement.
New York Pro Man, wow. I won't even go back to when it was United Champions because that really was a different show. But we've had Big Rami won it twice, Kai Green win it twice, Phil Heath, Dexter
Mm-hmm.
Jackson, Rolly Winkler. It's a very prestigious show to win, and you could have picked an easier show. What made you? There's other shows that probably will not be as competitive. Let's be real. New York Pro is always brings a lot of good talent. What made
Mm-hmm.
you? What made you say that's got to be my pro debut, the New York Pro?
Well, I've been going to the show with my dad since 2015.
Mm.
We haven't really missed a year, except for the year where they first moved it to Tampa in 2020. But then we were in Tampa in 2021. We went to the New York Pro, so we haven't missed except for that one year. We've been going to it consistently, and that's been the show that I've wanted to do. Since I started bodybuilding was my first pro show that I watched, um, and I've just been enamored by like the thought of winning one of those rings, the title of King of New York. Steve runs a great show up there. Um, and it's been written in the cards ever since I started bodybuilding to do this show. You know, it has been, and for it to come to pass is something that means a lot to me. And yeah, I'm going to go for that ring and the title.
I mean, I consider the whole East Coast. That's a show that a lot of the East Coast pros have always want that title. In fact, the New York guys, especially the New York and New Jersey guys,
Hmm.
they're rabid. They got to get. I think it was De La Rosa told me, so that's our Olympia. Obviously the
Hmm.
Olympia is Olympia, but it's a very nice title to get. So I called you out. I called you as the winner, what, like a year ago? So I'm pretty good at predictions. But getting back to your dad for a second, man, I always have to talk about your dad because I love your dad,
Yeah,
Carlos Sr. Because a lot of the dads in the sport, I'm sure they're supportive, but they don't really understand the sport. They don't know the sport.
yeah,
They don't. But your dad, man, he's at the shows, walking around. I've seen him every time I run into him. He's talking like some of the pros.
hmm,
He's part of the industry, really. I mean, I really consider him part of
yeah.
the industry now. But
He's more known than me.
and for good reason. He's got a hell of a
Yeah.
personality, but
Oh yeah.
how important is it to have a dad like that that's not only supportive, but he knows exactly what's going on with the sport and the players and the contests. He's in tune with everything. He's not just some dad's like, all right, Carlos, you got a contest coming up or something.
No, it's important because we game plan. We're a team. Along with everyone else, we're a team, and we discuss everything. And it's good to be able to say what's on my mind. About how I feel about the off season, the prep. And he understands it, or we'll talk about shows, and we'll go to the shows, and he loves it just as much as me. So to have that is like having a best friend in the sport. Like he's the guy that we started this together when I made the decision after I hurt my neck playing football. We sat down at the table, and he was like, "Okay, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "I think I'll try bodybuilding." He said, "Okay, let's do it."
Yeah,
Exactly, that's the exact thing,
yeah,
exact story
wow,
that happened.
yeah. He had a pretty decent physique himself when he was a younger guy, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. He was played sports, football, did some like I think it was I think it was like AAU type of like lifting or
Yeah.
YMCA lifting. It was competitions. He did those. Um, and then he went to the Navy at a young age, 16. And
Wow.
yeah, he went in early. But he had a physique on him. And I was blessed by the genetics of him and my mom.
I was gonna ask you, where do you think the genetics came from? Was it 100% from your dad? Or do you think it was like a blend of you and of both your parents? Because you work very hard and everything, but this physique does not happen very often. It's you got to have the right genetics in place, then put in the hard work. So mom, dad, both.
Yeah, both. Yeah, my mother when she was growing up had a slender, petite physique, and then but my dad as well had a very lean, athletic look. So I think that lent itself to I have the width of my dad because he's 5'8", but his body can hold weight. He can get up there and hold the size if he wanted to. So I think that's where I kind of got that from. Um, but I think he actually has thicker wrists than me. So I think I got the smaller joints from like my mother.
It's a good thing in bodybuilding. People don't realize that
Yeah.
because it makes the muscles look bigger if they go into a smaller
Hmm.
joint. Yeah. So
Yeah. But
when you
he's got crazy calves though, so I wish I had those.
okay. Yeah, they're calves. I always say calves are optional. They're nice to have, but I've never seen anyone lose a contest because of their calves.
Right.
Maybe someone else out there has. Yeah. So when you were starting on bodybuilding, did you ever imagine you could look like this?
Well, I mean, that's when I started. I, I picked up the magazine where Phil had won 2013 Olympia. I think it was a muscular development one. It had a yellow cover, I think,
Yep.
and Phil was doing a side shot on it.
Yep.
And I looked at that and I was like, that's what I kind of want to look like, the hanging hamstring, the full chest, the full arms. I looked at the conditioning and I was like, man, like that's something that if I'm going to get into this, I wasn't yet into bodybuilding like as a sport, but I was like watching it and kind of from the sidelines. Um, so around that time, I was like, well, maybe I could look like that one day. And it just so happened that when I got injured and I transitioned into this, I was like, that was the look, the roundness and the fullness that he presented. That's something that always resonated with me. And it just so happened that that's what my body morphed into as I started going.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say look exact like Phil Heath, but there are some similarities.
No, yeah,
Yeah, there are some
no, he's
similarities.
he's one of the goats. So
Of course, but you haven't even done your first pro show yet, so let's give you some time. But made the round because there's not many guys that have that really round, bubbly muscle. It's not a common quality. Even among the pros, there's not that many guys with that quality to the muscle. So another reason I'm excited to see your pro debut. So you were at the Arnold.
mhm.
Of course, everyone's trying to say now, well, now the judges only want guys who are 6'2", and got to be from Nigeria. You got to be 6'2", and
Right.
they don't like short guys. They don't like mass freaks anymore. Which to base a trend on one contest is obviously very
So
silly. And the top two guys at the Olympia a couple months ago, they weren't 6'2", were they? No,
they were not exactly.
far from it. So when you hear people try to predict trends and say this is what the judges are going to be looking for from now on, do you just sort of roll your eyes?
Say again.
I said, you sort of roll your eyes when people try to
Yeah.
predict a trend and like this is how the judging is going to go from now on based on one show.
Yeah, it's it's quite silly, but I think that what you see here is that the judges do like shape. They did give that they did lean towards shape, right? But they also were leaning towards balance, and that's something that Samson also has. But don't forget, Samson is a freak. He is a big muscular guy. Like he's not he's not like a guy who doesn't have round muscle bellies or like a flat chest. But he is a freaky guy. Like for muscularity, he was standing quite well with Nick. And then we saw him at the Olympia when he came out standing next to Big Ramy. He didn't look out of place. So is he? Is they saying like, oh, you have to be 6'2" with shape? Yeah, but you still have to have some muscle. Like, let's not forget what this is. Right? This is
Yeah.
still bodybuilding. So, hey, if you're a Derek who is like 5'6" with shape and crazy muscle, right? Like that's what is that to say? Did they lean towards? Is the tides turning towards short guys? Then if it is, then it bodes well for me. But
You know,
I think it's
and,
silly to base the trends off of one show.
yeah, at the end of the day, it doesn't. The height doesn't
Yeah,
matter. There's no, because if it was going for a certain look, then Nick wouldn't have been second. Andrew would have been second.
exactly.
And so people, they try. They're just trying to make something to talk about, I guess. I don't know. But yeah. So man, how psyched are you to finally get up? Because your condition was good at nationals, but I suspect you're saving a next level condition for New York Pro because that's what it's going to take. So you're going to are you excited to bring a look that we've never seen anything remotely like from you before?
I am, and I think that's the thing that's driving me is that when I hear and I've spoken to judges and I've spoken to people who are well all like well and off in this sport. They've done it for years and years, and they tell me like, hey man, like the condition that like bring the best condition that you can bring, and that'll be the tail of the tape right there. You bringing your best condition. When I hear that, I know you know I have one job to do. Like I have the muscle. I know that. I know I have the shape. I have that. To bring the conditioning is what's going to, put me ahead and separate me for the rest, and make the statement that I'm speaking about for the rest of the shows for the year and then for the rest of my career. And that's I think we're going to do. We're going to bring something that we haven't brought before that's different from nationals and achieve the goal of what I set out to do by taking a year off. And, to bring not only a different look muscularity wise, but conditioning wise. And I know we'll do that. We're off to a great start.
Yeah, because size, yeah, some people really they have a hard time putting on size, and the shape is what it is. Whatever shape you got, guys, that's the shape you got forever. You're just going to be a bigger or smaller version of that. But condition, man, I think that's the easiest. Not easy to get into great condition, but it's that one factor that can really separate you from the crowd. When you've got all that other stuff in place, why did Samson win? Hit the best total package: size, shape, structure, condition, all together.
Mm-hmm.
You have the size, you have the shape, you have the structure, you get that condition in. I don't know who's going to mess with you, man. I really don't. I like to see battles. I don't like to see shows where one guy walks out and it's like over in 5 minutes, because then you're like, all right, what do you guys want to go? Where do you guys want to go eat after judging? Yeah, I like to see a battle, but man, I have a really good feeling about you in the New York Pro. Just the physique, because I've been watching you now for a couple of years. I've seen,
Thank you.
you're one of those people with. I've known guys with genetics probably on par with yours who just never amounted in because they just couldn't focus. They had too many distractions going on, and they just didn't have the head and the heart to go along with everything else. But you're someone. The reason I'm always talking about you is I see all that in you. I see the winning, the champion mindset, the work ethic, the discipline and dedication to go along with the genetics. You put all that in one person, they're very, very tough to beat. Very tough to beat. There haven't been many of those in this sport, even in all the time I've been in it. So let's do this, Carlos.
All right. I mean, you were the Swami before and you predicted it, so I can't make you a liar.
Well,
I got to make it happen.
I'm wishing you the very best of luck. That's it. That's all I got for you, man. Because I'll probably talk to you closer to the show. Because
Yes,
I like to bother the good guys over and over again. Because you're good on podcasts. I thank you for doing all the stuff for MD Muscle Talk with John and Olivia too.
No problem at all.
Yeah, I was on the panel once. Were you on it with me that time?
I was. It was good.
Can't stand waiting for my turn to talk though. I'm like, I'm the worst. You sit there very patiently. I'm like, let's go, come on, get to me. Oh well, anyway,
I know.
yeah. But at MD Muscle Talk, good show, and you're on it. So guys, check
Yes,
that
sir.
out. And do you have any podcasts of your own that you want to promote?
No, not at the time, but we'll see. We'll probably come up with something later on. But yeah, right now, just MD Muscle Talk. They've been awesome. I've been happy to be on with that crew.
Yeah, it's a good game. Jason Arndt on there most time. Nate Spear,
Mm-hmm.
a big dude.
Danny Arts.
Danny Beefcake. What's
Yeah,
his
Danny
real name?
Beefcake.
Danny
Not
Broadhurst.
but yeah, Danny Broadhurst, Jason Arts, and then John, and then now it's Bo Lewis as well.
Oh yeah, Bo's been on a few too. Yeah, so quite a
Yeah.
mix of personalities. It's cool. So check that out, guys, if you haven't already. And follow Carlos. It's Carlos _ Thomas Jr. _ on
Yes, sir.
Instagram, right? Why didn't you go with IFBB Pro Carlos Thomas Jr.?
I don't know. I just like my name as it is,
It's
and that's
cool,
what
man.
everybody. It's pretty cool. Everyone calls me. They never forget the junior too. They come up, you're Carlos Thomas Jr. And I was like, appreciate that.
Final question: if you have a son, will he be Carlos the third?
Yeah, he'll be Carlos the third. We'll call it. I already have it. We already have that set up.
That's dedication. I've met guys who are the fourth. I'm like, wow, good for you guys. That's a lot of people with the same name in a row. Cool.
Ron, it's been I got a great father, and I hope to be a great father as well. And I mean, everything I do, I don't do, I do for the last name, to carry on and put a good image out there for my parents. So appreciate you for having me on, and it's always fun.
Cool. Appreciate you. All right, guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up thing, share the video, do all that good stuff. Leave some comments below. We love your feedback. Hit that notification bell so you know we have more content coming out. And that's it. Thank you for watching Ronline Report with this man, Carlos Thomas Jr., who you will see making his pro debut on stage at the New York Pro in May. Thanks for watching. Hey, did you like that podcast? Smash that like button, subscribe to MD, and please comment down below. Thanks for watching.